It's South Alabama and the Ragin Cajuns for a right to play in the NCAA tournament. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Been going back and forth to Pensacola all week, and it has been quite the tournament. South Alabama has defeated the last two nights, Southern Miss and JMU, two of the top four seeds, and now they will play the Ragin Cajuns. The Ragin Cajuns disposed of Texas State. The Bobcats just don't go away. That's like an 11, 12-point ball game, and they just don't go away. They almost pulled it off again tonight. But it'll be South Alabama. It will be the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns tonight in Pensacola. Game time, 6 p.m. Central Time. We do have a couple of side notes in this tournament. Not so great with the officiating. Georgia, or ODU, actually. ODU got away with 6 women on the court on the women's side, but they fall to JMU. That wasn't great. And then you have a beat writer calling out one of the South Alabama players as being dirty. I just hadn't seen it. But let's go over South's road so far to the Sun Belt Championship game. They have played incredibly well. They took down App State on Thursday night. Or Thursday afternoon. That was the first game, actually. Started Thursday morning, as it turns out. They took down App State, and Owen White hit a big three in that one. Then on Saturday against Southern Miss, the game was 49-49. It could have gone either way. I think it was a one-point game at half, and all of a sudden, South Alabama could miss, and Southern Miss couldn't make one. Like, one team went 9 for 9 and the other team went 0 for 9. And a lot of those were three-point shots for South Alabama. They could not miss, and they went on a 20-2 run. I think they won by 17 points, 78-61. And Owen White had another big ball game. And then against JMU, they came out and it was 10-0 in a blink of an eye. Less than 2.5 minutes into the ball game, they were up 10-0. Now, JMU came back. They are a very good basketball team, among the offensive leaders in the Sun Belt, but they never took the lead. Once again, South Alabama leads wire to wire. They've been very good about that. They have now, They have 11 wins in their last 13 ball games. Coming into the ball game against JMU, 10 of their wins in the last 12 games is by a margin of just over 18 points. That obviously goes down tonight, hanging on 75-66, but not that much. And Owen White, again, 4 more threes. They actually had, South Alabama actually had a 10-point lead, 65-55. And it kind of, JMU kept on chipping away. They got it down to 6. South made some free throws, missed some free throws, and Owen White again had a big three when, if he misses, then all of a sudden JMU's got a shot. But South Alabama's just been playing very well. We'll get to it eventually because I just don't think it's a good matchup against the Ragin Cajuns. The Ragin Cajuns have too much size for South Alabama, but we'll get to that. But Isaiah Moore is playing incredibly well, not only scoring points, but handing out a bunch of assists. Owen White has 12 threes in the tournament. He's been very efficient. Greg Parham has, come out of nowhere. Greg Parham was not doing anything for most of the season for South Alabama. Now, oddly enough, he tweaks his knee in the first game because they got ice underneath the basketball court and a wet spot, and he tweaked it. Didn't play very much, comes in, makes one free throw at the end of the ballgame. But then he had 17 points in the win against Southern Miss. He had 16 points off the bench. He's been very good. He played most of the game for South Alabama on a Sunday night in Pensacola. Kevin Samuel didn't have that many points. He had a big ball game a couple of games ago, but didn't have that many points. Only 4 points, only 2 shots. They didn't really try to get him the ball. He did have 12 rebounds, and he absolutely affected some shots down low for the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year. But South Alabama's playing really hard. I tried to ask. I did ask when they found out. When did they get their confidence? Because they had some close losses, right? We talked about that earlier in the season, right? They'd almost beaten Southern Miss. They'd almost beaten the Cajuns. On the road, they almost beat Coastal Carolina. Then they had a really bad ball game against ODU, and that's when they went on their streak after that. And I guess I said about they hadn't won 2 ball games in a row. They hadn't beat 2 Division I teams in a row all season long. They beat A&M, Alabama A&M. Spring Hill is in the middle, and then they beat Jacksonville State. So Alabama A&M and Jacksonville State are D1. Spring Hill is not, and they hadn't won back-to-back ball games in the Sun Belt until they beat Troy and Arkansas State. They're coming off 4 straight losses, and now they've won 11 out of 13, and it probably should be 12 out of 13. They choked away the Troy ball game that they lost in Troy, 61-57. Give the Trojans credit, but that doesn't change the fact that South Alabama choked that one away. They lost to Louisiana, who's a good basketball team. Jordan Brown, 13 of 15 in that game by 10 last Friday, not 2 days ago Friday or 3 days ago Friday, but the Friday before that. So 10 days ago Friday, actually. So 10 days ago Friday. Those are the only 2 games that they've lost since, let me see, when the Old Dominion was 66-64. That was on January 26th. So we're March 6th, and they've only lost twice. And they just play very well. They play a different style. Like the Cajuns play Texas State tonight, and it's a whole different deal, right? Texas State runs their offense for 20 seconds and then starts to look for a shot at the 10-second mark. South Alabama basically plays one corner instead of 4 corners. They play 1 corner, and it's Isaiah Moore just dribbling until he decides what he's going to do with the basketball. Now, sometimes they do a good job of rotating the ball, and I don't know if it was Owen White. I guess it was Owen White late in the ball game on Sunday. Everybody had an open shot. Greg Parham had an open shot, gave it up. Turbo Jones had an open shot, and I think it may have gone around the infield, if you will, twice before they found Owen White, and he finally put it in for a 3. But usually the offense is Isaiah Moore dribbling down in the paint and kicking it out. And it's a very different kind of offense than what Texas State runs, where you're chasing them all around. Now, it will be interesting. The Cajuns put Joe Charles on Isaiah Moore last time. Now, JMU tried to put a 6'8" guy on him, and he went right past him a couple of times, and that didn't last very long. We'll see what happens against Joe Charles. But South Alabama's had a great end of the season. They're probably not going to get into the NIT if they don't win this ball game, right? Their record is 19-15. You would think that they would. They don't have any national cachet, but they're playing as well as anybody. Anytime I saw anybody that I knew at in this tournament, media-wise or friends or whoever, boy, South Alabama's hot. No one wants to play South Alabama. They are. They are incredibly hot and doing very well. All right, let's talk Ragin Cajuns. When we come back, they advance to the championship game for the 2nd year in a row. But first, let me tell you about Built Bar. And here we go. Been eating them all on the commute and all tournament long. I am in the 207 range or so, and I'm down from a 38 to a 36. So the jeans are fitting, and it's got a lot to do with Built. If you are like me, where you want to eat healthier, but you don't want to compromise taste, then I've got the thing for you. You got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious, you won't think they're good for you. Perfect for your New Year's resolution. What makes Built Bars so good? Well, for starters, they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they're healthy. Only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, with a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built bars at Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart store or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today. Walk to the pharmacy section and grab yourself a box of Built bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's, which is where I get mine, run in, grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. I'm a big fan of the churro, actually. You can thank me later. And again, it's they got good food at the arena in Pensacola, but I feel much better eating the protein and not the fat or what would be a lot of sugar in candy bars. So I'm very thankful for that. And we are continuing to lose our weight as this body transformation continues. All right. Cajuns, meanwhile, hang on to defeat Texas State. Well, let's see what it was. It was 64-58. It was the final score. And in typical Texas State fashion, they would not go away. It just felt like the Cajuns were in control from the get-go. They led all 40 minutes. They got a 10-point lead, a 9-point lead with 2 minutes to go in the first half. And that's what it ended up being, a 9-point lead at halftime. And it kind of felt like they were going to start to pull away. They ended up, I think, was it 50-38? 50-38. I may have taken a bathroom break, and all of a sudden, it's a 2-point game. Oh, I saw somebody that I knew in the arena. And it ended up being a 2-point game. I even saw a Cajuns fan that I had met the week before because I went to Lafayette to see the South Alabama basketball game against Louisiana. And I said, Texas State doesn't go away. He's like, no. They're annoyingly good and really hard to play. And a 50-38 ball game. Let's see when this was. As late as, in fact, it was 51-38. Themis Fulks makes a free throw. 9:17 to go. 9:17 to go. About 8 minutes later, it was 60-58. I mean, Texas State just doesn't go away. They just don't go away. Now, what happens is unbelievable. Themis Fulks misses not one free throw, but 2 free throws. And somehow Jordan Brown got the rebound. Cajuns call a timeout. Brown ended up with a layup, 62-58, and that was basically your ballgame. Cajuns did not have any problem whatsoever against Georgia Southern. That was not a close ball game, 15-point game at half. And, the Cajuns are all of a sudden playing a little bit better, right? They have won 4 in a row themselves. They had lost 3 out of 4 ball games where they lost that tough ball game to Southern Miss where they were up by 10 late, but they couldn't hang on to a lead. There was 5 at half, and then it disappeared pretty quickly in the second half. Then they went to Troy and didn't do anything in the second half, got blown out by Troy 80-65. They do beat Monroe, but then they lost at James Madison. I don't have a problem with that. That's a 6-point loss, and James Madison's pretty good. Nonetheless, that doesn't change the fact that they had lost 3 out of 4. They get a little bit of a break with the schedule with Arkansas State. They beat them by 11, and then they took care of South Alabama, who at that point in time had won 8 out of 9. So there was no hotter team in the conference besides South Alabama. And now they have taken care of Georgia Southern, who came off a win off of ULM, and South Alabama and Texas State, who, that was their 4th game in 6 days and their 3rd game in 4 days, right? They played Tuesday, they played Thursday, they played Saturday, they played Sunday. That's crazy. So that's a great job by Terrence Johnson and Texas State. They're so tough to play. And really hard to play. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens tonight against the Cajuns against South Alabama. I want to see what happened in the first game. The first game was 79-76, and that was a ball game that that South Alabama could have won. They were up by 7 at half, and I don't know about necessarily the play-by-play. I want to see the box score. Brown was efficient in that ball game too. Jordan Brown was 9 out of 12. He had 8 points. He had 8 rebounds. He had 23 points in that ball game. Greg Williams had a big ball game in that game. He had 19. Trying to figure out what maybe South Alabama just played. South Alabama played well. They shot 56%. The Cajuns shot 54% or 57%. Free throws was the difference in the game. 11 out of 17 for the Cajuns and 1 out of 5 for South Alabama. So that's the difference in that ball game. In the second ball game, it really was all Jordan Brown. He was 13 out of 15, and I think he made like his first 6 shots in the second half. It was a 1-point game at half. Like Owen White hit a 3-pointer at half to give Owen White hit a 3-pointer at half to make it a 1-point game. Or no, they're winning. I covered both these teams. So Owen White hit a 3-pointer at the end of the first half to give South Alabama a 1-point lead, 29-28, and then they couldn't stop Jordan Brown. 28 points, 13 of 15. He could have had many more, 2 for 11 at the free throw line. Again, don't have to make all of them, but if you make half of them, 5 more, you have 33 points, and it's not nearly a ballgame. So I just think the Cajuns are a tough matchup for South Alabama. They have too much size. We'll see if what South Alabama can do. I mean, again, Jordan Brown, what did we say, 9 out of 12 and 13 out of 15? So that's 22 out of, did I get that right? 13 and 9, 22 out of 15 and 12, 27. God, I mean, they're going to have to try to do something. But you got Terrence Lewis, and you got Joe Charles coming off the bench with some size. Kobe Julian's got some size. Greg Williams, a bigger guard. He's got a little bit, well, he's only 6'3", but he's a bigger guard. It'll be interesting to see what South can do in this ballgame. Should be mentioned that, the Cajuns were picked to win this thing from the get-go. They were picked to win it, way back in October. And I think heading into the semifinals, they were the clear favorite. I thought South Alabama had a good shot against JMU. I'm going to give the Cajuns a little bit of the nod in this one. I do expect it to be a good ball game. And, many of these games in the Sun Belt Conference tournament outside of the Cajuns and Georgia Southern have come down to the end. They have absolutely come down to the end. And it's been a fantastic tournament. All right, let's take one more timeout. And we'll wrap it up. We do have some controversy with the officiating, and then going out on a limb, one of the beat writers for Sun Belt team calling out one of the Jaguars, and I just didn't see it. All right. I do want to take time to, again, thank you so much for continuing to subscribe and comment. We could use some more comments, so please feel free to do that. But the podcast is expanding and getting bigger, and it's because of you. All right. I know we're still doing basketball, and basketball will wrap up, today and tomorrow, and then we will we'll talk about whoever gets to the NCAA tournament, so that'll be involved as well. But we're still going to try and get, Kim Womack from South Alabama, still working on that. And, other coaches that are starting spring ball, and we got baseball. And so there's a lot more to do when it comes to the Sun Belt, and we'll try to cover it all. We are certainly looking forward to heading back to Pensacola to cover tonight's championship game, South Alabama and the Ragin Cajuns. All right, a little bit more Lockdown Sun Belt with your host, Dave Schultz. I have covered both these teams. That's why I'm actually doing the podcast. It is a little Schultzy invitational with South Alabama and the Cajuns, so it'll be a lot of fun. I'll post a clip. We already posted on the Twitter feed at SchultzyCast. Richie Riley, the head coach of South Alabama, telling me to post it to get the fans down here, is pleading for more fan support. And I had Bob Marlin call me out in the press conference. He's the Ragin Cajuns head basketball coach. He's like, this guy asked me what kind of tattoo I was going to get because he had promised his team he'd get a tattoo if they won the championship back in 2014. I didn't ask him that before they won the championship. You can't be doing that. But he promised one of the players, like Alfred Payton, former Ragin Cajun, and Sean Long, among others, that he would get a tattoo. So he called me out in the press conference this time. So good stuff. All right, so a couple of notes from the Sun Belt Conference tournament as we wrap it up. Again, the Sun Belt got away with one because ODU got away with one against Troy. So this would have been the quarterfinals. Friday. ODU leads Troy by 84-83 with less than 5 seconds to go. And I'm saying nobody saw this except one girl on ODU's bench. And you can see, if you look for it, you can see her reaction on the sideline. ODU's got 5 players on the court and one throwing it in, and nobody saw it. The Troy players didn't see it. The Troy coaches didn't see it. And more importantly, the referees didn't see it. And so ODU gets a layup, of course, because it's 6-on-5. The one girl who did see it grabs one of the ODU players off to the sideline just in case they were looking back. All the Sun Belt can do is say, sorry, referees are not getting any more assignments in this tournament. All right. That's the most that they could do. All right. So it just didn't look good at all. Clear as day. Here's the big thing. Why that's not reviewable, I do not know. They called a timeout at 2.7 seconds. Call timeout. Look at it. This is not a judgment call. This is an easy call to make, and you missed it. This is not a split-second call. This is we missed the call. Let's check it. They should have done it. Now, a little bit more controversy, and I've gone through, let me see. I have it here. I have gone through almost 19 minutes of the first half. Shane, I want to make sure I get this all right before, someone gets upset with me. But we've had him on the show, and he's a very good reporter. Shane Madison, who covers JMU, called out Owen White as being a dirty player. Shane Metlin covering JMU for DNR, the Daily News Record Sports, okay, in Harrisonburg, Virginia. He's a very good reporter, very good writer, and he went on to call Owen White not a dirty player, the dirtiest player in the Sun Belt. Owen White might win the dirtiest player in the Sun Belt award. There's something going on with him almost every possession. Doug Conkle from Jags Jungle calls him out. Strongly disagree here. White was the focus of JMU's defense coming into today, and rightly so. That he would respond to the physicality and kind is to be expected. Respect Doug a lot, Shane says, but stand by what I said. It wasn't responding to physicality. Every single player in the game played physical. He was the only one consistently sneaking jabs, grabs, elbows, and trips away from the play. All right, so I've watched the first half, and didn't see any of that. There was the double technical that I don't happen to think should have been a foul on either JMU or Owen White. He was boxing the JMU player out, okay? He got hooked a little bit. Owen White did, and eventually lost his balance, and the JMU player got out of the way, so Owen White fell to the ground. I'm not sure where the double technical was, all right? Nonetheless, he does say what he did a couple of times, but he said he tripped somebody, and there was another play under the bucket. So I have not seen it in the first half. Maybe it was the second half. And again, in the first half, I replayed it and just watching Owen White, and it's not even close to being a dirty play. There was a hard pick in the game. I don't think that was dirty. I just think it was a foul. And he knocked a player down, Molson, I think, from JMU. That may have been even Greg Parham. So I got to go back and look. But I just didn't see anything remotely close to being a dirty play. I will say, Shane Metlin finished it off, been exchanging messages with Owen White, and I'm apologizing for calling him dirty because he actually took the time to go through the plays I was referring to, talked about what happens away from the ball in a game, and assured me of no intention to do harm. I'm sorry. Thanks, Owen. All right. Now, why Owen White's up late? Got to deal with this on the night that he's going to play in a championship game or the night before is too bad, but at least it's cleared up. All right. But I'm going to go back and look at the plays, and I'll post them because I just don't. I didn't see anything that was remotely dirty. All right, and I don't mind admitting I'm a homer for South Alabama. That's no problem. But a dirty play is a dirty play. All right, I thought, the Cajuns got a really bad call. Texas State clearly knocked the ball out of bounds. Well, I guess that's pro Cajuns, but I can be straight when, yes, it looks dirty to me. All right, yes, you took a swing, or there's a shot to the back of the head or something like that. All right. So I'll be the first to admit that. I'm going to go through the second half and we'll do more later on. But I just didn't see anything that was remotely close to dirty. That doesn't change the fact that we should have a fantastic ball game Monday night. We'll recap it and talk about who's going to the NCAA tournament for Tuesday's episode. It's South Alabama. It's the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. It's the Schultz Invitational. We will have it all for you on Tuesday. It is Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.